There we go. Good morning. This is your small business power team here bright and early on a Friday morning. My name's Cheyenne Kramer. This is my better half.
Don Kramer. Man, she admits it. That's great.
Yeah, it's fun being married and in business together, we got to admit. But anyhow, most of you, if you've been following us this week, you know that we've got a super exciting event coming up. Part one is tomorrow morning, Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. And part two is next Saturday morning, again at 10 a.m. Eastern. And it's all about connecting, collaborating with others, and figuring out simple ways to be able to create income from home. Because guess what? None of us a year ago expected what 2020 ended up looking like. And I just spent 2 hours with a group of about 25 or 30 people who are caught in the unemployment trap right now. They're trying to figure out ways to get out of it. And so, we're here with multiple presenters from across the US and Canada who are going to be sharing information about, their backgrounds and, what they're doing that allows them to create income at home. And, in the US, some people are actually working more outside the home again, but regardless, I mean, we're all doing things virtually, right? That's exactly where we are here right now. And I know this past year, we've spent a lot of time trying to get more familiar with some of this crazy technology, right?
Yes, that's fun.
But we have learned from some very amazing people in terms of the ways that you can use technology and be able to expand your income streams. So today we are just absolutely delighted and excited to share with you one of our sponsors of the event. And it's interesting because he is one of our presenters that's going to be coming to us in a week from Canada. And, that's one of the things that I've learned in the past year is we can be doing business across the border a whole lot more easily these days than ever. And there's so many more people sitting at home staring at their screen. It's like, why not connect up with people in different states, different countries, and figure out how we can do some of this stuff together?
Are you saying we're gone international?
We have gone international. In fact, I'm actually quite excited that we've had a couple of people register to attend the event from Africa. So we're covering the globe. It's pretty cool. So, anyway, we're so excited today to be able to introduce to you Mr. Mickey Pendergast. And Mickey, thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know we had to rearrange some things because you got so much going on out there in Canada.
Yeah,
Well, thanks for that. Good to be here. Yeah, no, trying to stay busy.
Uh, Absolutely. And that's what it's all about. And, the more that we do to take control over our lives and our income streams, the more that we can decide how busy we want to be, right?
That's exactly right. That's the beauty of it. Really is it cuts both ways. But yeah, I'm as busy as I want to be. I'm as busy as I need to be. So that's the way it works now.
It is. It is. So please share with our listeners a little bit about your past and, what does your career path look like? And what are some of the challenges that you encountered along the way that have led you to where you are now?
Sure. Well, I won't bore you with all the gory details, but I was actually self-employed many years ago. I started a business with my brother in the food business, and I did that in various different sort of looks and different iterations of how to make that work. But it turned into a business where I had myself and a partner in about 18 locations in the food business, working 7 days a week, getting home at 1 in the morning, and it was a grueling way to try and make a living. But as our two boys got older, I decided that was no way to live. So I sold the business and went and worked for a former supplier of mine. So we're selling food equipment and supplies, and I kind of liked the Monday to Friday 9 to 5 kind of action and getting a regular paycheck and benefits and all that good stuff. And did well with them and worked my way up through the company to end up becoming the vice president of operations for a company with about eight locations here in Western Canada, one in Seattle. So it's all going really well. Have that security of that paycheck and that position and all the good things that go along with it. And then the president retired, and the new guy came in, and he had a different vision for the company. And about 8 or 10 of us got our packages, and we were out the door. So that was sort of my first wake up call, that this appearance of security of working for a larger corporation is just that. It's more of an appearance of security, because despite the fact that I was doing wonderful things, hitting all my targets, completing all my projects, and meeting all my deadlines, the former president loved what I did. The new guy had a different vision, so I was no longer part of that org chart anymore. You're not really a person, right? You're just someone on the org chart that either fits or doesn't fit.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and worked for another multinational corporation in a similar kind of a space, and I was their district manager for Western Canada, and did that for a period of time. Like, again, did well. The numbers were all tracking well and so on, but where I live here in Western Canada, heavily dependent on the oil business, so sales in a couple of the branches really struggled as the oil business was cutting back. And again, some VP and someone, my boss was in Fresno, and their boss was in Nashville, and their boss was in Philadelphia. And someone looked at the numbers and said something's got to go here, and so another time I got packaged out again. So that whole feeling of that security of having a corporate position with benefits and a good paycheck and everything is all true until it's not, and beyond your control, right? And that's why I decided to go back into being self-employed again. I was happiest when I was self-employed. I was in control of my own destiny, and also recognize that in corporations you get to a certain point and they look at the combination of your age and your paycheck, and they at some point you get deemed to be expensive and expendable, and they'll find someone who will do probably not as good a job as me, of course, but they'll do the job and they'll get it done, and they might be much cheaper, and they may feel like there's more of a long-term future with that person, although that doesn't usually happen, but that's usually the sort of the perception. So at some point you are just a sort of a puzzle piece on the org chart, and some accountant somewhere decides they can do something cheaper, and you're out the door. So that's what sort of drove me to go back to being in the world of self-employed, and set up my home office, and went from there. So I've got 3 or 4 different things on the go, but that's sort of the background. That's how I got here. Was just I didn't want to be at the mercy of the corporate world.
Wow. And that is so relevant for so many of the people that I know. We just try to reach out to them and help them understand the world is changing. We need to change with it. We need to figure out, how in the world do we take more control over those income streams? Because, when you've got all your eggs in one basket, it doesn't take much for somebody to decide to stomp on it, right? And crack those eggs open and just destroy them. So it definitely makes sense to be figuring out what we can do from home these days. And, I keep trying to help people understand there's still some myths out there that says you got to have a pile of cash to be able to start a business. You're going to have to invest ridiculous amounts of money. And oh my goodness, you're going to be out there so alone, and you're not going to have any clue about what to do. So how in the world could you possibly be successful? I have a feeling that part of what you're going to help people understand next week is that those myths are really just myths, right?
Well, there's lots of options, for sure. And you can take a big pile of cash and buy an existing business with some existing cash flow. That's certainly one way to go. There's also other things you can do. I did buy a franchise. It wasn't a big investment. It was a franchise that was a consulting practice, a lot of head office support, a company called Schooley Mitchell, so I could run run my own office with the office support from head office in terms of marketing and support and training and coaching. It was all run from my home office. You do start from zero, and you have to figure out a way to make that happen. So you need a little bit of financial runway to make that happen. You don't have a paycheck every Friday until you build it yourself. At the same time, there's lots of opportunities. A couple of the other things that I'm involved in now don't require any upfront investment. Just a matter of applying some elbow grease and getting comfortable with whatever it is that you're doing or selling or what you're offering, and make it happen. But really, the way I look at it is the difference for becoming self-employed, where you've got your own generated income and find customers and develop a base of clientele. When you're an employee for a company, essentially you have one customer for your services. You're trading hours for dollars, and your customer is the employer, and that's it. And if for whatever reason, whether your fault or not, if that customer goes away, you now have zero customers. Whereas if you develop a stable of clientele as a consultant or as a independent sales agent or whatever it is that you try and develop, you might end up with 20 or 50 or 100 or 200 customers. And if something happens to one of them, they go broke, they go somewhere else, something happens, then you still have, if you had 100, now you still got 99. You still got something going on.
Exactly.
And then it's up to you to try and find more. And the ones I've focused on, because I'm no spring chicken anymore. There's only so many years ahead of you. I've developed opportunities now that have a residual income component. So I'm not just trading my time for money anymore. I have ways where there'll be ongoing business for the foreseeable future. Indefinitely, I'll be getting commissions on a monthly basis for many, many years, as long as the people are using the service, which is, I've focused on permanent services like utilities and credit card fees and some other areas where I'll be getting a check, not even a check anymore. I'll be getting a deposit into my account on a monthly basis, whether I'm working or whether I'm golfing or sitting on the beach or finding more customers or talking to you. I'm still getting paid. So that's what I've tried to develop, and it hasn't replaced my corporate income yet, but it's on track by the end of this year that it will replace that income and begin to exceed it after that.
Wow. And that's so awesome. And, we're such believers in building the residual income. We used to call it mailbox money, but my husband kind of corrected me yesterday and said it really isn't anymore. It's drop in the checking account money.
Digital dollars, mailbox money.
That's it. So, and it's a beautiful thing. I mean, in fact, I just looked at our checking account this morning and saw, something that dropped in that does that pretty regularly every month. So that's the kind of stuff where, in this country, we talk a lot about people who have been fortunate enough to have pensions. We talk about people who have had 401k plans. And of course, we have Social Security in this country, and yet all three of those have become so darn shaky. We have to figure out ways to be able to build additional residual income streams that can support us into that elusive word called retirement.
That's a concept. That's a concept of retirement. I'm not sure I'm not interested in it, frankly. It is what it is, but I like to be able to determine what hours I work and what time I work and time I take off. But in terms of actually retiring, hanging up the mail bag and collecting your gold watch and your pension check I'm not interested in that. I have still have too much energy and too many plans and too much going on to be retired. So although I do have some retired people, they seem busier than ever, but nonetheless, it's a recurring theme at my age. Having my brother just last week and my wife last year and some other people in my circle that get to a certain age, and the corporate world's no longer interested in keeping you on board unless you're a senior manager or business owner. They deem you expendable at some point in time, and you're out down the road. So that's really my strategy was to try and find a way to take care of myself and not be reliant on, like I say, the whims of some accountant in head office 1,000 miles away that tweaked the org chart and sent me a pink slip. That's not how I want to. That's not how I want to live anymore. So.
Nope, definitely not. I think that person you usually call the bean counter, right?
Yes, bean counters.
The bean counters are just way too happy. I remember a point in time where, they used to talk about the human resources of a company, and they used to talk about, human capital, like people were actually assets. And now it's become way too much of a, expense item on the bean counter sheet where they can just say, you're out of here. So we thank you so much for taking the time out today to be with us, Mickey, and we look forward to your presentation a week from tomorrow. And if anybody's got any questions about this event coming up, connect, collaborate, and create new cash flow, hit us up through Facebook, hit us up through YouTube. You can also connect with us on LinkedIn. We'll be happy to answer any questions that you've got. And we do have this link here on the video is our short link, but underneath the video, we're also putting the longer link to be able to register, to be able to come to the event. There is no fee. It's virtual. It's being done on Zoom. So there's no reason, no excuses for you not to be able to come out and be with us. So we look forward to seeing you tomorrow and next Saturday. And you had a thought, dear?
Oh, yes. All these great presenters we got.
Woof!
This should cost you hundreds and hundreds of dollars to attend.
It's true.
But my wife decided, no, we want to help people.
That's it. We don't want to lock anybody out from being at this event. That's why there's no fee. Simple as just clicking on the link and registering, and we'll send you the Zoom link to be with us. So thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow and on February 6th. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks, Mickey.
Bye-bye. See you soon.